Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the Room's Brain Knocker. It is a topwater wake bait. It's a really cool design. It reminds me a lot of the Megabass Gong. So I've got a Megabass Gong sitting next to it. We'll talk about the similarities and differences between these two baits. I saw this bait at the Hookup Tackle and it just looked really cool. So I had to have it. I'm a big fan of the Gong, so I saw it, picked it up. I'll run you through the specs. It's 74 millimeters in length. It's a 1.2 ounce weight. And you'll see the design of it, very similar to the Gong. It's a short, stocky bait. Has kind of a big lip on there. And then of course, that big blade on the back, that big Colorado blade, that kind of slaps back and forth on there, which creates the unique action of these type of baits. So one thing, just some differences to know from the start. So this is an expensive bait for a wake bait. This is about $74.99 currently. So it is a good bit more expensive than the Gong. The Gongs, they have the regular size and the junior, and depending on if you're looking at the regular color versus one of their more exotic colors that Megabass always makes a bunch of them. I've got several in that box down there. The price is going to be about $20 to $30. If it's a more rare color, it might be a little bit more. But either way, the Room's bait is quite a bit more expensive, so that's something to keep in mind. They don't have as many colors. I think it's Ugani, I think is maybe, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, is the color for this one here, which is, kind of dark on top, light on the bottom, kind of a purplish tint to it. And it's got kind of a bluish kind of splatter going across there. It's a really neat looking color. When it comes to topwaters, I don't think color is actually a huge deal beyond the bait just being a darker color or a lighter color. Maybe some colors like orange or chartreuse could maybe come into play a little bit, but when a fish is looking up at the bait, they're really not seeing the top of it. It's really that bottom color they're seeing the most, and maybe a little bit on the side if the bait rolls a good bit, which wake baits do tend to do that. But the color is not as important, at least in my opinion, as some of the other baits, just because of the nature of the fish coming up below. So this one, a fish looking at this bait's mostly going to be looking up at that kind of light colored underside. Let's talk about the action, because that is the number one thing with these types of baits. What this bait does, and my personal opinion on one of the best ways to fish it is to fish it very slow, and this bait will slowly rock back and forth, and that blade will just slap against the back. Now, one thing the Brain Knocker has, you'll see there, it has like a circuit board lip that you might see on like a crankbait. It's got one of those on the back to just make that noise just louder, give it a different sound. So that is a difference from the Gong. The Gong also, most of them now have that kind of more diamond kind of shaped blade, although the earlier ones do have a Colorado blade. In fact, if you look in the box there's one in there. The blade on the Brain Knocker is bigger. The Colorado blade is bigger than the Gong Colorado blade, and that Gong kind of diamond shaped one. So it's a bigger blade. What I've realized in fishing it, you have to actually fish it even a tiny bit slower than the Gong. At least that's what I did to really get the nice, the rocking back and forth and the nice kind of slapping. You'll hear it makes a kind of unique sound when you fish it. Of course, if you retrieve faster, the bait will dive subsurface, has a nice, real hard kind of side to side action. If the fish are more aggressive, you can do that. I like to target something in the water, like a log or something sticking up, cast this bait past it, and slowly creep it right by that cover. That's where I've had most of my success. I have a Gong in my book bag that I fish a lot. It's kind of a tannish, kind of a brownish color. That is the one that I've caught the majority of the fish on. Most of these exotic ones in this box here are really just for my own collection. I have fished the Brain Knocker once, so I don't have a ton of water. I took it out on a day that I thought was going to be a great topwater day. Nice overcast. Thought for sure the fish would be looking up and busting on the surface, and they just were not doing that. There was zero surface activity, and the brain knocker and poppers and walkers, nothing was really generating anything. I ended up catching my fish, running a crankbait fairly deep, so they were still in kind of a traditional summer pattern. So we'll get some more time out there. I wanted to go ahead and get kind of a first look video out there because I just think this bait just looks really, really cool, and wanted to show it to you guys. We'll get kind of some more looks at it there. But it really is a nice high quality bait. You know, you'll have to decide if that price is worth it to you. You know, it is pretty high priced. It's not quite, you know, swim bait price, but it's getting up there for what is basically just a top water wake bait. But you know, if you're into, you know, really cool JDM lures and stuff, you know, it might be worth it to check out. If you've never fished one of these before, it's probably easier to go with the Gong first since it's just cheaper. But this is a really neat bait. I love getting stuff like this from some of these other companies that you may not be as familiar with over in Japan. So I think it's a cool bait. I'm going to keep fishing it. We'll hopefully get some videos of that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We've got a couple other videos coming up for you guys. I do have a big swim bait. You might see it in the background over there. So hopefully that will be in the works. That's a really cool bait also. So anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this. This is the Rooms Brain Knocker.